Hello, hello, good people of the internet. How's it going? Welcome to Let's Listen here on Bonus Stage. I am joined by the man of the hour, nary the day. We've got Ro Panuganti here on the show with us. Ro, how you doing, man?
Oh man, I'm doing good. It's nice day, nice evening. I've been playing Zelda nonstop, as has everyone I talk to. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. A real pleasure to have you. We had a really good time catching up at VGMCon. Super
Yeah,
wonderful to meet you and to see you performing in person for the first time. And
yeah,
while we were there, we got to talk a little bit about the reason that we are gathered here today, which is none
right.
other than your latest album, Return to the Wild. I
Yeah.
understand that this has got a pretty great reception so far. How do you feel about it as an artist?
Oh man, I feel like a lot of different emotions, none of which are actually like angry or regretful for once. I genuinely feel like I planned to make this album early enough to where I could kind of, follow it through. I feel really happy because it's kind of a remake and then kind of new, which is something that I think a lot of musicians end up doing, You pull out like the old videos and you're like, what if I did that, but use what you learn. And again, I love Zelda, so to play any of these tracks, I always just feel like you feel like you're being Link, just like in the videos where I literally dress up like Link and run around in a field, and it's just a lot of fun when you get to go that hard, but also plan everything out within reason. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's go back a little bit and maybe
yeah,
share for anybody who is uninitiated. Tell us a little bit about the Wild. This came out like shortly after the game, like the first game, Breath of the Wild, was
Yes.
released, and you've kind of decided to build on that for this release here. So, what was the kind of the reason, the feelings behind the first album, The Wild, and then how did that translate into what we have here today?
Sure. So obviously, most everyone might know that Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild was a launch title for the Switch as well. That came out 2017 April, I want to say, or maybe it was March, but it was my spring break actually for my last year of college. So that was coming out. I was incredibly excited for that, and I had just kind of finished. And I'm gonna get my own like whatever history wrong here. I think I did an album with Gabe Ocarina called Jiggy Rock last. So I was still kind of finding my place in VGM, but I really enjoyed album projects and like larger scale ideas. So I started seeing, a lot of different people kind of do these albums solo and started like going a little bit further in like arrangement creativity and things. And I really wanted to find the best opportunity for that. At the time in 2017, I worked with Materia Collective as my distributor, and I was like, okay, Breath of the Wild is coming out. I know how licensing works, at least whatever I knew in 2017. What can I do when this game comes out to capitalize on that, especially because it's Zelda. It's my favorite, game series. And from what little I'd already seen, I knew this game was going to be really special. So in 11 days from when the game came out, and I knew, like, I confirmed what was on the soundtrack, I reached out to David Russell, who, we've known each other for now almost 10 years, I think. 11 years. Jeez.
Wow.
And I was like, David, if I just, like, binge out a bunch of covers, but, like, I spend all day on them. I'm not talking, like, brief, but if I, like, try really hard, would you like to creatively arrange, like, a proggy sort of EP for Breath of the Wild music based on what we're allowed to do, which was a finite number of songs we'd even heard. So every day I would binge Breath of the Wild. I was on spring break, and then otherwise I would work on the music. And it was just like this crazy unique time. So we ended up having 5 tracks, which you will see on Return to the Wild here. We had what I call Awaken, or the title. We have Guardian Battle. We have Hinox Battle, which was actually like the last inclusion. Your Out the Door track, as I'm sure you're familiar, and plenty of people in chat might be familiar with. Zora's Domain, and Rito Village. And I reached out to a few different people for guest parts. I got Carlos Eni and Sane the Ray Music. I got my buddy AH Music, who runs Reaper Tips now. And I'm probably forgetting someone else besides David Russell. My friend Kelly did incredible art for that. And of course, I distributed it on Bandcamp for the first time, thanks to Materia. And like, we had this very interesting, hello, Garfy. We had this very interesting album to be made in a quick amount of time. But what was incredible, though, Josh, is that album was the first time I blew up in a completely new area in Bandcamp. I was like, I've never sold on Bandcamp, like, because I don't know what you're allowed to do. So it opened up this thing, for me, where I was like, okay, it's about the music when it comes to Bandcamp. It's truly just about the music. So long story short, that was 2017. My buddy and yours, Alan Brash, he spoke really highly of it, and it really gave me like this juice that I was like, all right, there's something special when I do things this way with David on piano and like this arrangement style, capture that magic again. And there's been like 6 or 7 albums since, and they're all very important to me, but I always knew that I had to come back to the Wild and do something more. And here we are.
Right. Just like how Breath of the Wild was recently categorized as a tech demo for Tears of the Kingdom, The Wild was a proof of concept for Return to the Wild.
That is honestly, like, I don't know about the analogy for the games, but it's so true for the albums to me. Because, again, like, everyone, look at your channels, look at the first song you ever played live, and then look at where you are now. And, appreciate that you did the first thing. By God, like, by no means should you hate it, especially because I still have Wild CDs to sell. But, like, there's something you can love about the, your starting point, and then there's still some magic there that I don't think you lose. And what to further that point, if you listen to Return to the Wild, there's like a handful of tracks and leads and parts completely the same from 2017. They're untouched virtually because like I didn't want to make it like some gross like completely new Little Mermaid remake kind of like polish thing. No offense to the people making Little Mermaid, of course, but like I wanted people to be like, okay, Ro in 2017 didn't suck, and neither did my guests, who I wasn't going to ask to redo their parts. But I just think that was important. But yeah, I feel much more prepared to make an album in May, so 5 months, than I did in 11 days.
Right? Oh man, yeah, definitely. Well, and like if you were still in those 11 days able to capture the essence of like the arrangement that you were looking for, then yeah, I totally understand not feeling the need to touch on that. But nevertheless, you did expand greatly on that, and we've got 14 tracks on this album now. So yeah, awesome that you spent the time to get all of that together. You also have like quite the star-studded cast of collaborations on this as well. We've got David Russell, your longtime friend, of course, Insane in the Rain, your wife Allison. We've got Patty Rudisil, VGM, String Player Gamers on here, Toxic X Eternity. We'll definitely shout out all the musicians as we get into the tracks here. But before we do that, you also are running a fun little incentive here on this stream for people who are purchasing your album. Do you want to break that down for us?
I would be delighted to, and I'm actually going to just keep a marker because I already see the number went up. So again, the format of listening parties is so sweet because everyone in here obviously cares about the music and no gimmicks. So anyway, onto the gimmick. I wanted to basically up the ante a little, and I wanted to also test out a little format that I would love to see in the VGM space. Inspired by both Hot Ones and Hot Pepper Gaming. So to keep it simple, if I see a Bandcamp sale for the CD or the digital of Return to the Wild, I am going to there we go.
Whoa!
I'm gonna down either a deliciously oven-baked chicken wing or cauliflower, if you prefer. There we go. Nice little
autofocus there.
Yeah, and I already ate some earlier, so I know that I didn't ruin the chicken wings. But we're going to start with this bourbon hot sauce that the wonderful Chris Ryberg just gave to me at MAGFest. It's kind of like hot and a little sweet because it's bourbon, and it's like reasonably hot. I think cayenne pepper style. Then I have this habanero pineapple. We're talking like a couple thousand Scovilles, so this one actually has some game. And then if we make it to, I forgot what I said, but I think if we get to either 25 viewers or if we hit 65 sales, I'm going to switch to the ghost pepper sauce. And nice. As many of you already probably can tell, I like hot sauces enough. The ghost pepper is the only one that actually felt like hot. They're all delicious, which is what's most important. But regardless, enjoy the album. I'm probably going to eat all of these anyway at some point. But yes, for every purchase, I'm going to down one, and I'm going to start with the first hot sauce. And if someone in this chat already bought it, because I saw it go up, I think, to, let's see. Okay, we're at 55 right now.
Oh, I think Ian Martin just bought one.
All right. Ian's up in the ante here. And... okay, yes, we are up to 56. So
56.
All right, I'm going to start with a little cauliflower piece here.
Oh man, if we're doing hot ones, I got to think of like some really deep questions to ask you while you're while you're in the zone.
Please do. Well, see, like I feel like that's such a fun format virtually too. As long as people kind of like get something local and have some fun with it. You don't have to see people suffer, but it's just like a celebration of food while talking about the thing we already like.
I mean, don't kid yourself. It is also a celebration of suffering. That is what Hot Ones is completely hinged on. Oh my god.
All right. We got some tingles.
Oh, we got some tingles. Nice one.
Oh god. But yeah, not hot, just a little tingly.
Very nice. Well, thank you, Ian. There is the link in chat, by the way. I'm going to make sure that this is pinned so that anybody who needs it has access to it. Yeah, definitely.
Tasty and light. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Taladar, with the onomatopoeia. Yeah, all right. Well, cool. I feel like we've gone off to a great start. Why don't we dip into some music?
Sure. I think that's the right move here.
Right on. Oh man, we're not going to see any sweating just yet, so we'll get there, folks. You got 3 songs to purchase another copy of the album, so that Ro gets another hot one, and we're going to start things off here with "Awaken" featuring David Russell, "Guardian" featuring Insane in the Rain music, and "Riding Day" also featuring David Russell. So let's listen. Oh man, that is a really nice variety of sounds that you have to start the album here. We've got Awaken, which is like kind of like momentous and sweet. Guardian, I mean, Carlos knocked that solo out of the park. That reedy sax solo, just like really raw, really tense, and then Riding Day as well. Yeah, I think those are all really strong starts to this album, and you and I were talking a little bit backstage about kind of like some of the similarities you notice, and just like some of the production points between like because Awaken and Guardian were both on the first album, The Wild, as well. So why don't you just kind of tell us what it's like to revisit those, and anything that you might have changed up for this release specifically?
Sure. So, like you said, to start, like Awaken features David Russell on piano, and I kind of like having a core sound established with whatever track I start first, and I usually start albums with the title track or whatever. So, yeah, you have a lot of things kind of influenced by like that Steve Vai, like soft guitar, like ethereal kind of vibey sound, and it grows. It's not like a traditional like rock or blues song where you have verse chorus. So you kind of get to hear a little bit more orchestration and like walking drums and some of that classic David Russell bluesy piano. And eventually you hit that like da 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 da, and that's Breath of the Wild's main motive, and it's just like a lot of fun to have that kind of feelsy moment. And with Guardian, it's panic. It's a lot of Dream Theater inspired like hard riffs and like this percussive genty dun 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 dun, and it just gives like this very kind of like, I don't know. There's like a swagger to how Guardians, come after you, and I like to think that if you arrange it in such a way that it's got some of that same momentum and just like a little bit of that offset weird timing, you do feel thrown off guard. The like odd time signatures just flourish in that track. And of course, when I went back to listen to the track, I've sat now in a professional studio, watching Carlos Eni play saxophone. And I listened to the stem and I was like, wow, this is when he was recording in a college room, and a different mouthpiece and a different saxophone, and it's crazy because I've known Carlos as long as most anybody I could have known in VGM. So it's nice to go back, and it still slaps. It's a ripping good solo at the end, and then I kind of have like a little guitar solo to just noodle off, and then normally in the original album you would go into Hinox. You hear a little transition ditty I put with a Twilight Princess reference that this
Very
is
sneaky,
stuff I wanted to keep from 2017 because I was like 2017 Ro is getting a little clever there. But we take a detour, so we have Riding Day, which is truly a David Russell track that I play guitar on. Call it a palate cleanser, call it a tease at some of the other chill tracks, the rest of the album. And if you heard, and I mentioned this to Josh, like this is actually the same arrangement that David provided to VGMTogether from 2022, just with a little bit of flourish, some sound designy stuff you might be able to pick up on. I didn't put horse galloping or anything, which I think that's because I was getting too indulgent with the sound design. But yeah, that's the first little chapter of music. It might off-put people expecting crazy amounts of metal. It might off-put people hoping that it's more faithful to Zelda. Yet I think it just reminds me of like classic, VGM scene. People bring things together. Hello, Patty.
Hi, Patty.
One of our
Welcome.
featured guests.
Oh man. Wow. Sorry, I was gonna completely add to that, and then I forgot because Patty showed up. But I think you had a couple more sales since we started listening.
I have
You might have some hot stuff to eat while I try and remember my tough question.
Sure. So once again, everyone coming in chat, I will be eating one either cauliflower or chicken wing here that I have graciously baked. These are lightly seasoned, and I have 3 hot sauces here. For every 5 sales, let's say, so we need 2 more, I will bump the heat up. So right now, this is a bourbon cayenne pepper hot sauce, and I'm going to eat 3 wings. We have a habanero pineapple sauce, and we also have a killer ghost pepper sauce that I think is the most delicious and definitely the hottest. So if we get 2 more sales, I will switch up the heat. And yeah, I think we have 3 more to go through. So I'm just going to shake things up real quick. I'm going to put in a chicken wing. And then if I run out of dippies, I'm just going to take a tablespoon and go. I thought of everything, man.
Oh man, just doing shots of hot sauce.
Shots of hot sauce. Why not?
Oh man. Oh, and we've got the Limit Breakers coming in with a subscription, also saying congrats, Ro. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Oh, what? Wow, Scrobot, for some reason, Automod wanted to censor finger foods. Yeah, okay.
I see why.
Automod's going a little bit strong there, I think.
Oh man.
Oh, how's the heat there?
I would rate it a 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Okay, we're at 3 out of 10 for now, folks. We're just getting our tingle on. You coined that, Ro, and we're not going to let it go the whole night.
The branding writes itself, but then we're going to make the Hot Ones VGM, and then I'm going to have to wear this tingle costume. No big regrets there.
Oh man, fun story actually. Just while you're clearing your plate there, I did put a Tingle costume on order for VGMcon. I was really hoping to be Tingle at VGMcon and interview people, but it did not arrive in time. And in fact, Amazon was like, "It's undeliverable." I don't know what that means, but I got my money back. I was still very sad. And then I was like, well, what am I going to cosplay then? I have my Ooh La La costume, but given the current political climate in the States right now, I was very hesitant. And then oh my God, why am I gapping on his name? Gunderslam. He put on his sexy Gerudo wing outfit, and I was totally ashamed of myself. I was like, I'm a coward.
Well, all the love in the world to Patrick for rocking that. Oh, Alan is texting me also the updates.
Oh, we've got the play-by-play. Thank you, Alan, for continuing to be a VIP in VGM. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, to reiterate credits, Alan is basically... Well, Alan's the person I talk to about most projects I will go about doing anyway, but Return to the Wild is definitely built off of his praises of the first album, and he's helping distribute it. We're able to do royalties automatically. Garfy, you're not getting a chicken wing.
Get over it, Garfy.
But yeah, so humongous props to Alan.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Also, this is water. It's not milk. Not that. This isn't really Hot Ones. This is a test.
Yeah.
But we will get
concept. Proof of concept. So then we can return to the Hot Ones in about 6 years.
And then we can get someone who doesn't like hot sauce and call it Return to the Mild.
Whoa. Wow. Well, you've got some real spicy breath spitting out some cool ideas there, Ro. I'm sorry. That's about as good as it gets. Why don't we get into some more music here? So yeah, we had a little bit of a detour with Writing Day, but coming up next we do have you pronounce it Hinox. I always want to say Hinox.
I just say my H-I in Japanese is he. Yes. So I assume, but Nox isn't anything unless you play Kingdom. Yeah, it's probably Hinox. I'll ask Allison. She's playing Tears of the Kingdom in Japanese, like a pro.
Nice. Whoa, as was originally intended.
She was like doing something subs, not dubs, and then she pushed me out of the way and started playing.
Oh, yes. Garfield, you're not getting enough attention. All right, well, we'll put on some awesome tunes here so that Garfield can get the attention that he needs. So we've got Hinox featuring Allison. actually. And we've got
That was
Cass's
funny.
theme.
Sorry, go ahead.
We got Cass's theme with Joe Calderon, or is that Calderone?
I've been saying Calderon.
All right.
I don't think I've actually heard it pronounced.
All
Let's go
right.
with that.
Well, as first pronounced here on Bonus Stage, and also featuring Christian Richardson on that one. And then Matt Attack is joining you on the Gerudo Town cover. So, without any further ado, let's listen. Oh damn! There's the metal and the jaunt that I'm expecting from one Ro Panuganti. Uh, people in chat are praising your suffering. Uh, do we have
What else is new?
do we currently have any suffering to enact on you here, Ro?
No new no new sufferings
No new
unless
sufferings. All right, we are
but
super close.
yes. So my deal is if we hit 60, so 3 more sales, I will up to this habanero pineapple hot sauce for another buffalo cauliflower dip or chicken wing dip. This one's pretty hot. So it's pretty spicy. Also, thank you, Max, for pre-ordering a month ago.
Oh my god!
MVP here.
And a
And if
classic
we,
anime reference too.
I'm.
Uh,
Oh wait,
Master Stroke. Wow.
I thought that's a Watchmen reference.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah, because the villain he does the classic villain thing, but he's already done his evil plan.
Ozymandias, you bastard.
Yeah. So yeah, be it 3 more sales, or if we get to 25 viewers on this wonderful stream, I will up the spice, and then I will pick some other arbitrary number to get to this ghost pepper sauce, which I have tasted, and it is very hot. Like, that is actually going to hurt. Ranja MVP.
Yep. Thank you, Roger.
Right.
Thank you for your patronage this beautiful
crap.
day.
Two people bought it. All right, so we're going 2 more.
Oh, man.
All right.
That's 1 away from the upgrade?
It sure is. All right, so I'm going to dive right in to more of this weaker bourbon sauce, and I'm actually going to like snap off some of this cauliflower here.
Oh, nice.
Just so that we have more dippage.
Drink it. Oh, my God.
I have a flight in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't want to be breaking down the airplane bathroom door. No,
well, see, there's a funny story that I'm going to summarize in like 10 seconds, but we went to Tennessee. I wanted a hot chicken. We went to the aquarium the next day, and I had to stop like 5 times, and my stomach was still on fire the next day. So all in all, I really enjoy hot food.
Whether you should or not. Oh, my God. Well, that's amazing. Why don't, now that we've got you in this hot, spicy place, I want to talk to you about this incredible album art. This is beautiful. This is just like, it's speaking everything about, like, you know, how you start the game in Breath of the Wild, just finally exiting that awakening cave and out into the open. Yeah, where did this art come from?
So, obviously, like, artwork is so important, and like the tiniest little soapbox right now, like if you're making an album, hire someone to do album art as best you can. Like there is such a beautiful like interpretation visually that people will do the same way that you put, you know, all your energy into doing it musically. Isa Alcantara has done quite a lot of album art for either me or for, you know, different groups that I've been a part of, and I knew like if I wanted to do something that's charming and still like adventurous in general, I just think that, you know, whatever album art you see for this album has to kind of like capture all that, yet also feel a little bit like the original The Wild. So I shared the original artwork and I said like, hey, this is the original one. You don't have to copy it at all. And Isa had not played Breath of the Wild yet. I believe she actually did get to playing it after doing the artwork. Garfy! One sec, my cat's being terrible. Get out of there. Out. 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 No.
Oh man! Well, here then maybe I'll preview the. Here's the original by comparison. So you still have that edge. You've got the lovely flower, the Zelda flower.
Silent Princess.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, like the point of both album artworks is to kind of play off of the game and play off of the sound. And the sound is not like this extremely like abrasive metal album, nor is it a soft piano collections. I think wanting to go on an adventure is how I feel when I listen to The Wall, when I listen to Scenes from a Memory, or, you know, any prog kind of rock opera type thing. So that's what the album artwork I think does, and I can't wait to print it out and put it on my wall because it's It's so good. And I'm very excited, obviously, for the CDs to come out so that, everyone who ordered a CD can hold like a little piece of Issa's art.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, rockin' job. Why don't we keep going with the awesome music too?
Yeah.
Our next three tracks, we're going to be listening to Terrytown. And oh, sorry, my notes went away. Terrytown, featuring David Ramos and DS Music. God, I love the DS sound chip. By the way, just
Yeah.
complete side note.
Complete. Yeah, and I mean, if I can wedge in just a few quick credits, of course, we listened to Hinox, right, first.
Yep.
So Hinox was in the original The Wild. It was the last track I wanted to include. It's, a clunky, silly boss man fight against these giant cyclopses. So I was really inspired by the Steve Vai track, Firewall. And he does like a lot of these cool collaborations with horns or with strings. And at the time, I used Expand 2, great cheap VST for my horns. And now I have Allison Martin like right over here, and I'm like, I'm not going to use VST horns if I can ask her to record on this. So she did both trombone, which is of course her specialty, and some trumpets. And you can hear it mostly in like those, but this was a kind of a whirlwind because I wrote it like in 10/8 time. So, and she counted it like probably most professional musicians would anyway. So I can't tell if she's out there, but yeah, it was a fun track, and it was really important that I get her on the album in some way. So that was really cool for that. And then I think we did, what was the next track after that?
The cast theme.
There's cast theme. I literally don't know my own album, do I? This one is special because Christian and I, we've gone back for a while, and Christian's a killer player for, all sorts of, metal tunes, and just one of the best guitarists I know. But I needed to get him on because I like getting him on these albums. And we had last worked on, I think, Moonrock, which was our Super Mario Odyssey kind of pop punk metal EP. And yeah, so I was like, hey, this is going to be kind of like Metallica meets prog meets something. Like, what do you think of doing like some solos? So I arranged it with him in mind a little bit. And I know one of his favorite bands is Intervals. So you have a lot of that like very slicey, sharp kind of guitar riffs. And it just works really well, to have that. Yes, my wife is the studio trombonist.
WST.
WST. That's cute. I might use that. We'll see. But yeah, so having Christian was important. Joe Calderone plays for the band Arch Echo, which I'd been a fan of for quite some time. I've worked around a lot of their music, but they are easily one of my favorite reference mixes as well. Incredible mixes from the great Adam Bentley. So I found out from just following them that Joe Calderone is also a fan of Zelda and video game music. And obviously, he's a killer bass player. You can check out a lot of his bass covers, killer tone. So I was like, hey, do you want to work on a track? And he said he would be down for like 2 before he goes on this tour, which they're on tour right now. If you want to go see Arch Echo and Haken, go see him. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he ended up playing on Hyrule Castle, and he also laid down some pretty fun, pretty tight bass and cast theme. I think it's harder to hear some of his solo work in the cast theme, but they're both phenomenal like parts. So I'm very grateful to have both of them. Gerudo Town is another weird remake because I did a cover of it in 2018 on YouTube, and my buddy Matt, who's kind of local here, and I just on a whim covered it. There's like a little bit of this like scratchy, punky, like it's really cool, and I freaking love Gerudos. Not to mention that they're the best lucent representation that I've got, I think, to any sort of Indian culture in the Nintendo verse. So, I freaking love it. And yeah, I wanted to redo it and just make it sludgier. So everything you're hearing in that one is on the 8 string. And as I mentioned to Josh during the breakdown, a lot of crazy like wind sounds to kind of like get that sandstorm vibe. And I tuned my guitar to basically the lowest note on the 8 string being an E flat. So it is one octave and one semitone lower than a standard guitar, just for that one stupid boom, boom, boom. But sometimes you gotta be a caveman and just have fun. And yeah, I mean, the rest of it's just like these fun little nods to kind of Eastern-ish, Indian-ish music. And yeah, that's kind of like a fun little chunk of the album. We're getting into like heavier territory, but also getting into some like sweeter melodies. Um, and yeah, we got more.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of sweetness actually. Yeah, so Terrytown. Oh gosh, I hear
Oh
Terrytown
yeah,
is developed quite a bit in the new game.
sweet
Uh,
Terrytown.
sweet Terrytown. But then yeah, we'll be listening to Zora after that, featuring AH music, and then
Mhm.
Patty Rudisell joins you for your Korok Forest theme.
Woo!
All right, well then, yeah, let's listen. Wow. Welcome, Raiders. Perfect timing.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. For those of you who are new here, this is Bonus Stage. We like to highlight the VGM and nerd music communities. And today we are doing so by hosting this wonderful listening party for our friend Ro Panuganti here. He has just released his latest album, Return to the Wild, which is a tribute to Breath of the Wild, which is like totally irrelevant now, but we're doing it anyways. You just
The
heard
obsolete
Korok
game.
Forest. But because of the ante that has been upped here, Ro has been putting together some incentives for viewership and for album sales. And because of the raid, we are now up to Ghost Pepper level. That's right. He is basically reenacting Hot Ones all by himself and is prepared to eat hot, spicy food for your entertainment and his own suffering. So thank you all for being here for that.
Yeah, huge thank you to the raid, of course, and everybody stopping by. And we're, I think, like a good bit of ways through the album now. So I hope everyone's been enjoying it. And most importantly, of course, if you're enjoying a lot of the guests that I had, please let them know, because it is so scary for me to like ask for guest parts. And I enjoy it so much. It just ups the value and the feelings of the song when you know that like friends and talented folks have been on it. So yeah, and as Josh mentioned, we've been raising album sales, and I've been downing hot sauce, and I'm upping the ante to Ghost Pepper. So for everyone who buys an album right now, I'm just gonna down a teaspoon of Ghost Pepper.
Oh, are we bypassing the wings now?
Um, well, it'll either be a teaspoon or a wing, but I'm like, what's the healthier choice? Because I'm getting full.
Oh,
So it'll be one or the other.
what's the healthiest choice? Straight hot sauce. Oh my god.
You can have a straight edge Hot Ones host, but nonetheless, I appreciate all of the listening and or all of the sales that we've gotten so far. That's been awesome, and I'm keeping tabs. But yeah, we just listened to 3 more tracks from the album.
Yeah, we have.
Terrytown, which is, you know, this short, sweet kind of jingle of a theme for this town that you almost miss. Most people I talk to don't know about Terrytown in Breath of the Wild. But of course, it's the theme that Laura and Trivia covered and arranged for VGMTogether. So I actually got to help record and mix that one. And I got very close to that version of the song, because, you know, we poured hours into this big collaboration that included some of the Limit Breakers, Lacey Johnson, a lot of friends. So I was like, all right, what's the... I actually didn't plan on covering it, actually. But I reached out to David Ramos, who's, you know, of course, incredibly synonymous with VGM and with, you know, the Ocarina of Time, and his own music, of course. So I was like, hey, if you'd like to work on a song, I'm working on this Zelda album, you know, of course. And we actually hadn't worked together too much before. We've crossed paths in the community. So I was like, what would be fun for you? And he said, I was thinking of Terrytown. I was like, that cute, sweet jingle on this prog rock album. So I thought it would be cool to kind of do like this acoustic ocarina led thing. And it turned into like this John Mayer inspired kind of vibe, Stratocaster out, just like, what would be a sweet love song type of thing? And then I thought, hey, halfway we should switch it to like the version that plays during like some of the games, like cutscenes and weddings. So you hear like a little cheesy church organ, and yeah, we go into like a little pop punk, like double time it. And you know, to fill it out with on piano, I asked my buddy and, you know, phenomenal piano player Dave or DS Music. So now we have 2 Davids on the album and two Joes, and I'm sure there's another commonality of names that I'm forgetting here. And that's Terrytown. Zora's one of the originals, so not too much to say there, but it's got David Russell on it on piano, and of course AH Music, which most of you who use the DAW Reaper might know from the website Reaper Tips or the Instagram channel. It's a phenomenal source of very visually pleasing, excellent tips, guides, tutorials, videos breaking down how to record music, and much of it is taking advantage of all the cool things you can do to Reaper. You can, you know, of course, turn Reaper into anything. it's a phenomenal free place. So that's what Alejandro's done, but he's also one of my closest friends and an incredible guitar player. So that guitar solo's like 6 years old. I sent it to him. I was like, hey, remember this? It's going on the album again. And he was like, oh yeah, that's cool, man. But and of course, Korok Forest, this brilliant beacon of fun and light, and Koroks and the Great Deku Tree, and of course the Master Sword's home. I had to include it on the album, and I knew I was going to, but I didn't know how for the longest time. And I knew that I was going to have to ask Patty to be on it, and especially because I don't know, like, I think the way her playing is to me is like the same way I try to convey my guitar for like these light rock things. It's, it's like a singer that's being breathy and soulful, and I think she communicates that well, and I think violin and guitar go really well, which is why 2 tracks on the album, of course, have to have a violinist. But yeah, it was just awesome to force Patty to play Korok Forest again, but kind of have like a vibey ambient shift, and of course the ending, stacks of vocals and guitars and just like explosions. I picture that like, the Daegu tree just showering blossoms or something. And especially playing Tears of the Kingdom, I am so freaking lucky. Almost all of the tracks on this album are in Tears of the Kingdom in some way, shape, form. So, when I went back to Korok Forest, I was like, this is home. But, of course, the next track is not from Tears of the Kingdom, but it's one of my favorites. So I'm excited to listen to, I think, 2 or 3 more tracks, the last leg of this album.
Oh no, I think we've got a couple more legs because we've got 5 more tracks to do. I mean, unless you want to do them all in one go.
Well, I'll tell you what I will do in one go. I'm going to down 2 ghost peppers because we got 2 more sales, which means we've hit 61, which is already unthinkably awesome. Thank you so much.
8 more to go.
So this is a ghost pepper sauce that I got. I think it's a mix of ghost pepper and like buffalo sauce traditional.
Ooh.
I've not eaten like a whole pepper. I'm not there yet, but it's pretty darn hot. And I tried it like this last time, and I was suffering. So we're gonna give this a quick bite here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, in true Hot Ones fashion, before we get into our next listening block, I am definitely going to ask you a thoughtful question. There's the suffering. Hold on. Let me get a good close up on your demise here.
I made a mistake.
It's you very went in there. I think you covered that with more than a teaspoon.
Can that count for 2? That's 2 teaspoons.
All right. Well, what will count for 2 is because backstage you were telling me how, obviously the guest performances that you have, particularly on the original tracks for The Wild, you said you didn't touch those, but in fact, I believe in a lot of cases, if not all, you did go back and re-record your own takes. I just wanted to ask you, thoughtfully, like, what was that like to revisit those takes and kind of do a fresh one, and just like to revisit the material in general? What was that like for you?
Well, I think it's cathartic when you go back because you hopefully if your self-esteem is reasonably acceptable, then like, you feel like you've gotten better, and you feel like you have, I don't know, a good perspective on the things that make you that don't change. The way I play a lot of my guitar parts is kind of like sing-songy and a lot of bends and vibratos and stuff. That didn't change, so I wanted to keep a lot of that. And when I would go back to redo, I was trying to improve my timing, maybe try to like get a tone that's a little like smoother, just like mix things that I feel like I've improved. But I do sincerely think that, I feel like whatever made me as like a player, like that shouldn't change. My timing, my intonation, all the, the school things, those have to go back. But it's just nice that I can show this album to someone and be like, hey, this is who I am from now, but also from a while ago. Like, what you see is what you're going to get. You're never going to change. Like, I'm never going to be able to just make an album so good that it has nothing related to like The Wild or Dark Hunter. I'm still stuck sounding like Ro. And a few friends of mine, they were talking to me when I was talking about like having someone else mix my music. I was having like this dilemma because when you look at old music and you're like, it would have been good, but you know the mix isn't that good. And God, poor Allison hears that like probably daily. But you know, at the end of the day, I think my friend Evan said it's just like you're gonna make a Ro album, so you can hire someone else. You can get your mastering done by someone else, which I did, and you know, you can have all the help in the world, but you also have to come to, you know, you have to be at peace with the fact that you sound like this, you like these notes this way, and you like your guitar to be this way, you know? And I think finding that over time has been my learning experience for the last 12 years of doing online music.
Wow. That's incredible. We'll make sure you get a little hydration in there. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, why don't we give you why don't we
like
give your mouth a break? Oh man. A little breath of the mild. But we're going to get into our next listening block here if you're ready for that, Ro.
I am so ready for that.
Awesome. Coming up next, we've got Shrine featuring Acapella VGM. We've got the Molduga theme featuring String Player Gamer. And coming back around to our old friend David Russell being featured on the Rito Village track. So, let's listen. on. My God, what was that? What was that? Why are we going from Rito Village into hell? Oh no, I guess it'll make sense once we get to the next track.
It'll all be revealed next time on Return to the Wild.
Oh, that was the sound of people eating ghost pepper sauce, I think.
It actually was.
Sampled by Allison. Good job, Allison. Oh my God,
man.
that's something that I've really appreciated about this album specifically, and you know, it definitely speaks to that vibe that people go for when they're writing like a progressive concept album of having just like things flow into each other with all these little interstitial compositions and soundscapes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that something that you kind of like reached for with The Wild, or is that simply a return symptom?
Oh man. So if you listen to The Wild, you'll hear some of it, and I'm just updating our sale because we have one more. So let me answer you properly.
Oh my gosh, yes. After a after a little dip,
A little
you,
dip
you're cutting it with food, and I think that is a wise choice. As full as you may be.
Plus, I won't need breakfast.
Yeah, there you go. You won't need coffee for that matter.
Oh man.
Your BM
Okay.
is assured. Okay.
So there were transitions in the original, The Wild. And as you mentioned, like again, a lot of my influences are Pink Floyd's The Wall and Dream Theater and Rush and like a lot of bands that make almost movies or stories out of their albums. So the songs need to flow into one another in some form. So, like with that in mind, I wanted to do it again, and I almost didn't. I was getting stressed out about the deadlines and yes, Ayumoka, we're on Ghost Peppers.
Yeah.
So yeah, like as a lot of you can hear, like there's transitions. Sometimes they're little musical jingles. There's a lot of Zelda like Easter eggs scattered, so listen close. But also, it's just the style of the album. I wanted it to feel like you're getting to go on the full Breath of the Wild adventure and kind of like walk with Link. So sometimes there's footsteps. Sometimes there's like the bokoblins at the beginning of Hinox going, like, just like things that remind you of the game. And more importantly, if you have not played Zelda, if you have not played Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, and you listen to this, like my goal was like someone hears this and they're like, this is a really cool album. And I kind of get a sense of like what's happening, like the fights or, the adventures, the water in Zora and, so like it's just like a really integral part of the sound. And sometimes I've actually reached out to other people. So the last thing you heard at the end of Rito Village is this like hellish, gloomy, like overtone of just evil growing on you. And I didn't know how to make all of these transitions myself in time. So I asked Allison if she could come up with some like raw sounds. So she helped scour for different free samples, but she kind of made that one using like some reverse effects and a fox shouting. So the fox shouting sounded like a bokoblin. So I was like, I don't know what the hell you did, but this sounds awesome and evil, and it's going to be the intro to Hyrule Castle, which to me was the most meaningful song and like the pinnacle of the album. But yeah.
Well, I'm really glad that we have finally, after so much questioning, been able to answer the question of what does the fox say? The fox goes, ah! Oh man. Well, let's make sure we go back and credit the other collaborators properly. Of course, we had Acapella VGM to collab with you on the Shrine track.
Yeah, that was a really good opportunity. I had been following Acapella VGM, and Allison had also been showing me a lot of his videos early on. And not only is he one of the nicest guys in the community, but terrifically talented and very versatile with how Patrick's like arranged a lot of VGM to incorporate voice, to have like textures resembling a lot of instruments. But he'd been reaching out to like try to do more collaborations. And I was like, what if we could do something where your voice is maybe a little bit choral, but also using like these a cappella kind of techniques that you'd normally use. and then we can kind of go back and forth. And then I was like, the shrine music from Breath of the Wild. So I gave like as much freedom as possible, and acapella just sent me like 40 tracks of just different ideas, swells, harmonies, like sound effects. Sometimes I reversed them, sometimes I didn't have to touch anything. And that was like the arrangement, boom, 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 boom. Like all these, like little arpeggiations are just voice going on, and then during like those big crescendos you can hear like some soaring harmonies going on. I wanted to sing along, and I was like, no, I'm not overstepping that territory. This was incredible work. And how many times will you work with a traditionally a cappella vocalist on a metal record?
Hmm.
Really special. Um, and going from there, Molduga is another track that I was really into. I know my friend Patty, of course, has a fantastic Molduga cover. Pokerus VGM, they dropped a Molduga cover. It's fast. It has like a few different sources of influence, I believe. Some are Spanish, some are broadly speaking Middle Eastern. So I had like a little intro that's done on a dolak, which is an Indian drum, something that I kind of like pulled from the band Bloodywood, which is killer Indian folk metal band. Huge, huge fan of their album. Um, and the rest of it is just like this fast, 8 string like Veil of Maya, like chugs, it's just like, do not get up, do not get up, like insane. And for the longest time, I've been trying to get Diva on a track like in full. We've done guitar solos or violin solos for each other for a while. So I wanted to get that like MAGFest. We're standing together and like noodling over a song, that kind of like solo trade energy. And Diva brought it on electric violin, just
Oh.
like super fast. I think the timing is the hardest part of this song. You almost tell that we're just barely behind, but it's like almost 200 BPM, and the ending is just Diva solo, Ro solo, Diva solo, Ro solo, and I'm like, all right, do your worst, and he did. And we follow up with Rito, which was kind of like for the longest time my proudest VGM cover arrangement. It's lengthy, it's contemplative, it repeats a lot, but it also has like the soft, clean kind of like breaks in between. It has David's signature kind of bluesy, soulful piano playing. And obviously it's like also a Dragon Roost Island kind of cover. And my God, for anyone playing Tears of the Kingdom, Rita Village is in that as well, and you hear a lot of that motif back again with all the different events that happen there. So that was the song. In a way, I was most scared to reto, but I was really happy that it gets included. Alan and I, Alan Brash, of course, who helped distribute it. He loves song arranging, like the order, which you might know. He loves trying to figure out what the flow is best. And I kind of argued with him on this one. I was like, he wanted Rito last, and I was like, no, Hyrule Castle just goes a little bit harder. We should save that for the end, but let's put them together. So you'll have like the old finale, and now you have the new finale, which we'll of course get to listen to.
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, Third Koopa is asking the mag clap pattern. If I'm not mistaken, that's. Am I right about that, Max? Am I?
I've never heard of this.
Oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure that's what. Yeah, there we go. Max has got my back. That's the classic.
Interesting.
Yeah, just you got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. I guess it's technically 3/4, but anyways, yeah, that's what it is for you.
Interesting. Okay.
If you find a way to tease that into an arrangement somewhere, there are a good number of nerds in the VGM community who will take notice.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, we are noticing that there are just 2 awesome tracks on this album left for us to listen to, and like you said, Hyrule Castle is a real banger, and you've got 3 collaborators on this one. In fact,
Oh yeah.
Toxic X Eternity, Joe Calderon, and David Russell are helping you on this, and then the final track, Sheikah Tower, is 100% Ro. Heaven forbid you should have a track on your own album that's just you.
Oh man, yeah. The only song that's me is like the one that's just like sound design and echoes. But hey, that's the point.
Right on. Okay, well, unless we have any other hot, spicy things to consume, shall we get into it?
Let me check here, and I think we're good. We're at 62, so we are caught up there. This next track, Hyrule Castle, I guess I can plug also, is one of two that will have a music video. Hyrule Castle dropped today. We filmed it right before all of this chaos, but again, it features me in my little Breath of the Wild costume, a lot of Unreal Engine 5 fun effects, and not as much Guardians chasing me, but there are some. And of course, we have the illustrious Toxic X Trinity and Joe Calderone, who sent in videos for that one. So it is on YouTube, which I can plug here. So
yeah, please
a lot of people enjoy music videos as well. So you can hear it in album form, but if you want to see how it's performed, or if you want to see a little bit of VFX magic at the start, you got that. Otherwise,
Awesome. Sorry, the link didn't go through because you are not a mod on this channel for some reason. But I'll make sure I get that, and we'll
no, I get it
as we listen.
All good.
There we go. Yeah,
you can put it on mute while you have the stream in your other tab.
Right.
You can watch along.
Okay, folks. Well, yeah, that said, here we go. We're going to listen to the last two tracks on this album. This is Hyrule Castle and Sheikah Tower. Let's listen.
Rise, rise, my servants. Sweep over Hyrule. Eliminate this kingdom and her allies. Leave no survivors.
What a smooth and gentle letdown from all of that fucking intense, awesome metal, dude. Yeah,
Oh man.
well sculptured album. I always praise people, who like take the time to craft a track order and make something that is like,
Mm.
tells like some kind of narrative or gives like the listener some kind of journey to go through. So yeah, I just definitely wanted to make sure that I complimented you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. All right. Well, yeah. Let's dig into Hyrule Castle then. I mean, that was just
Sure.
terrifying and amazing, and lots of incredible performances by your collaborators and yourself as well, of course.
Thank you. Hyrule Castle is like the album, and it's also like the album story. So I've shared this a little bit, but basically, I made The Wild in 2017 based on what I thought was licensable. But I'd listened, I played through the game, and I fell in love with tons of the music. And at the time, I didn't know that Hyrule Castle was safe or not, or else I actually would have put it on The Wild. I'm actually really happy I didn't. But eventually I found out it was safe. So I was like, oh man, I really want to cover that. And back at that time, I was using, Patreon. I still use Patreon, of course, as does Toxic X Eternity. And we both share a patron, Sanjay P. He's also a fantastic musician and someone I produce. And he had a Patreon request for both of us lined up. So he was like, I want both of you guys to do Hyrule Castle. And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So, and Jack's obviously like, hell yeah, dude, because that's what he says. He says the thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Hell
so
yeah,
he works on an arrangement, live stuff. We're both busy. Completely like drop it, and I never wanted to cover it without Jack because in my mind I had a few ideas for how the arrangement could go, and I was like, it's worth waiting. Fast forward to this new game's coming out. I find out that the entire Breath of the Wild catalog is a safe game. I want the album to be about going to Hyrule Castle. Like once I knew Return to the Wild, so I was like, Jack, hey, can we do this finally? Like, can we do this by this date? I think I have a good idea of how to arrange it. Like, let's do it. And obviously he's like, yeah, hell yeah, dude, let's do it. Finally, like, close this chapter. And then I'm like, all right, let's up the ante everywhere. David Russell on piano, filling in a lot of the gaps. I was trying to figure out how to do like some symphonic elements, so they're kind of tucked in the back, some brass and strings, bass. Then I reached out to Joe Calderon and I was like, all right, no matter what, I want you on this track, and if you can film video for it, that would be even better. I gave him like this really cool gap in the middle, and he does this awesome, super, just excellent bass solo on his Strandberg tone. It's just really, really, really cool. One of the easiest mixes ever. And, then, of course, I video edit for Joe Zieja, who is a fantastic voice actor and musician. And normally I've been doing his music videos, but I also helped edit his voice acting academy, which is, a fantastic course on the art of voice acting and the business. And he's been doing these like promos to like do different game or like movie characters, voices, and show how to do them. And they're really good. And then he does one of Ganondorf, and I'm like, damn, I need that. So luckily I was able to, have him aboard and, just do kind of like the trailer introduction that Tears of the Kingdom had, which is also like a cute little nod to the next game. But, obviously Joe is, a professional voice actor. So hearing him be Ganondorf, and not only that, I played this at VGMCon live on a stage, and I got to hear that like blasted to, everyone watching, and Fire Emblem fans there were really excited. So it was just so cool. And again, the song is like Ballad of the Windfish meets Ganondorf meets Zelda's Lullaby in the middle. It's got everything that I think makes my VGM arranging style feel fun for me to play. But of course, music videos no different. Just tried to like tribute the track as best I could. And Sheikah Tower, is this like, it's the landing. It's when you're, just done with everything and you need to think. So
you go up to a nice tall space and just
geez.
Garfield. I think that earns Garfield a little bit of ghost pepper sauce.
I was literally gonna say, hey buddy, you want some ghost pepper? He doesn't like anything acidic. All right.
Oh,
Good for you guys.
well, I'm sure he'll like hot sauce the least. Oh man. Um, yeah, but just like being able to go up to a nice high spot, you've got a view over everything. Nothing can touch you.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like nice calm spot, taking it all in.
Yeah, it's nice to have that breathing space, and I think that's what progressive metal does well. Periphery, Tesseract, Animals as Leaders, Meshuggah, all of these different groups that came out of the woodworks in like 2010 always did that. They've got the and then boom, clean, 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 and then auto tune, like epic song about like Icarus or whatever the hell, and like it's this palate cleansing, and I love that. So if you know Meshuggah, or if you go right now and listen to The Last Vigil, it's the last song on Coloss, which is one of my favorite albums, which is probably a controversial Meshuggah take, but it's like it's a pretty palatable album to me, and I was super inspired by how well that ends the album. A lot of their albums end with like a great chill song, so I was like, why not? And another cool thing to plug, if you're a music maker, RC20 is the plugin I used to like lo-fi everything. That was a really cool aspect of Breath of the Wild to me. Like we have fantasy medieval, but you also have these modern guardians, and it was just cool to like hybrid that musically and bookend the album a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Dang, that's $100. All right, I'm not going to get RC20 today.
Yeah, I got it for $40 on a sale.
Nice. Well, shucks, that is the whole album. It looks and sounds like everything is being really well received. So congratulations on your revisitation to the wild. Well, I mean, now that this is under your belt, I mean, you're going to be taking off in the morning on a wonderful trip with Allison, and all very well deserved. Do you have anything on the horizon after that? What's your next musical endeavor?
Sure. So I think obviously with this coming out, I'm going to be taking care of, like Return to the Wild CDs will come out. My album Arwing Odyssey, I believe, will finally be out on vinyl, which was my previous one. So that was, kind of a nice thing to hear that it should be out in July. Right now, I think I'm going to revisit, not redo, but I'm going to try to prioritize GameRaga, which is, of course, my like Indian fusion album. I put a lot of pressure on myself for that one because it feels like, as far as I know, I'm one of the only Indian VGMers or people doing music from that like particular region. Mm-hmm. So, it's really scary to be the first. I don't want to like infantilize or novelize it. I want it to be cool, and I want it to be me. So I'm going to take some time with that, and I'm hoping to work on a few more originals. I started an original album that would be full length, but I'm starting to suspect doing a single would be a little bit more fun. And I'm actually thinking of forming another like side project band with a few other VGMers. So I'm going to see how that goes, maybe towards the end of the year. And last, everyone's heard it, I'm gunning for main stage on certain video game cons. I want to play songs from this more. I just want to get it out of my system. So I truly hope that next year, or even some opportunities this year, will happen. But in the meantime, I'm going to be working on Allison's upcoming Kingdom Hearts album. And Heartseeker is going to be really good. It's big band. It's got a lot of jazz styles. I've got guitar and bass and production duties. So, we're done with my album now. I need to give 1,000% support to that incredible album.
Yeah.
But, in the meantime, everybody, thank you so much for sticking around, listening to the album, sharing kind words, picking up the album, watching me suffer with this hot sauce here, and to show you my appreciation, I'll take one more
bonus.
Yeah.
Bonus teaspoon of straight hot sauce. Oh my god!
bonus stage, bonus heat.
This is just tally that onto your list of mistakes there. Oh my god. Whoa. Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know. I was about to end the stream, but now we're watching you suffer a little bit more. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, does chat have any questions on how the album was made or anything like that? Or any guitar questions or Zelda questions? Or
make him hard, folks. He's suffering, so bring him in. Oh, man. Does it gent?
Yes. If you want to hear specific gent, Molduga. That is the gentiest song on the album, easily. G-Soon, you're cool, and I want to be like you. How many days did I spend mixing? I think I would say it was at least a week and a half of mixing. I specifically did not try to mix the tracks before I was done tracking. I have a horrible habit of trying to mix while recording, and it's terrible. Don't do it. Do all electric guitars sound the same? No. All guitars with the same pickups or running through the same plugin are going to sound similar. That's also one of the good and bad reasons for me not wanting to use too many plugins. What do I record into? I mostly record into a Fractal AxeFX 3 that's simulating Friedman amps usually, or 5153s. Sometimes on this album you'll hear neural DSP's Archetype Plini or Nolly with different cabinets. I try to change it a lot because, again, they all kind of sound the same, and a lot of prog metal right now can be quite homogenous to me. So I feel like mixing it up is really nice. I didn't try to spend more than like 30 to 45 minutes on a song before calling it. Drum library was Get Good Drums Periphery 4 kit with Slate Trigger running like the middle farm snares, whatever the Tesseract snare is. I used a lot of that. I wanted to like mix it up quite a bit. Ro, who's your favorite Breath of Zelda character? Hi, Danny. What type of Breath of the Wild recipe would you make for them? Right now, I actually really like Pen and Tulin from Tears of the Kingdom. And Riju is boss. And for Breath of the Wild style recipe, I'd make like a mushroom skewer, like a spicy peppered mushroom skewer, because that's been really awesome. Right now, a tall glass of milk. Yeah, and honestly, mushrooms slap, so there's a reason why they're all over Breath of the Wild. But chat, answer that question. That's a really fun one.
There's the water.
The thing is, though, that's still like a 6.5, 7 heat to me. Like, Ro, I'm not in love with my guitar. What should I buy? If your guitar is not professionally set up, figure out what specific problem you have with the guitar. And go to a real amp. Do not play guitar into an amp sim and then wonder if your guitar is the problem. Variety, as much as you can within reason. Don't spend too much money. But, guitars will sound vastly different the second you take it somewhere else, or hand it off to a player that you trust and see what they think of it as well. Consider pickups. Pickups make the bigger difference when it comes to sound than anything, I think. The Abasi is not the only guitar I used. I used my Music Man Majesty, the 7-string on Rito Village, because I used my Sterling on the old album, so I wanted to keep that similarity. The Stratocaster is all over Terrytown, and then the Abasi 7 and 8 are largely the rest of it. Yeah, those are the guitars I used, and then the bass I used was the Ibanez EHB. That's on almost every track. There's like one track with VST, because it was too low. I'll let you guys guess which one that is. And then, of course, Joe Calderone, I believe, played his Strandberg bass on 2 tracks. An Explorer, because every other guitar will feel light as a feather afterwards. That is genius. Did Ro ever answer about all guitars being the same? Yes, I did. I said that not all guitars are the same. But they will sound that way if you run it through the same stuff.
And if you have the same fingers.
That's true.
Sometimes when I do.
So when I'm in a good mood, I will advocate tone is in the fingers. And, if you imagine handing someone else a guitar and thinking it'll sound exactly the same or have the same nuance, that's the first area to kind of think about. A lot of the songs on this album are like fingerstyle or thump tapping. There's a lot of different guitar technique. So there's a lot of stuff you can play around with before discounting all the guitars. But my two Abasi guitars, they sound the same. There's no way. There's no way. I can't believe it's not Abasi. Like, they are the same guitar, just one extra string.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, if question time is done, then I think we're gonna wrap things up here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Ro, thank you so much for joining us on Let's Listen here today. It was a real fun time watching you eat hot, spicy things, but also just listening to your incredible music. So yeah, a huge honor to have you here on Bonus Stage as usual. Yeah, I'm gonna just prepare a couple of tunes to play, but we're gonna get ready to maybe raid out. If anybody has any suggestions, please drop those in chat. Otherwise, as far as Bonus Stage is concerned, we have a show coming up this Friday in town in Vancouver, featuring Shubzilla and Bill Beats. We're bringing them up from Seattle, and they are joined by Powis HJ, a local nerdcore artist. And then next week we've got a couple listening parties for Vunik 2, who I heard earlier or saw earlier in chat, and then I believe we've got the Pizza Time, the Pizza Tower GameGrooves album. Speaking of Alan, of course, no shortage of albums coming out from those guys. Yeah, but that's it for me. Ro, any final things to say?
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for having me. I love getting to chat with you anytime I can, and obviously, chat. Thank you so much for coming out, for buying the album, supporting, independent music. But this was also going out on a pretty big limb to get so many people involved and celebrate, progressive, artsy, eclectic, weird music, and Zelda. So, thanks again, everybody. Stay tuned to more great stuff in Bonus Stage. Going for 2 weeks on my honeymoon finally, so I won't get to be part of the hype wave anymore. But enjoy the album, enjoy Tears of the Kingdom as well, and literally any aspect of this album, video, tones, whatever, you can shoot me a message, tweet at me or something. I will happily answer, because I think that's the best part. That's the best kind of culture we can cultivate. Making cool stuff and then making sure other people can make it too.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks so much for being such a pillar in the community. I really
love it. I'm fine.
You're
fine. Stay that on the plane like for 10 hours. Fine. It's like esophagus is like a torch.
Oh.
It's not bad, actually, in the grand scheme of things. I'll go hot next time.
Right on, man. Okay, well, looking forward to that. Go have a glass of milk, and thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.